you say scone or scone? Anyways, these have peach in them. They're delicious, and I'm gonna show you how I made them. Today we're gonna throw together some quick scones with a recipe that I found that uses Greek yogurt. I'm gonna substitute sour cream because I don't have Greek yogurt. First, we're gonna get our dry ingredients ready. 2 cups of flour. And I'm gonna keep a little bit of flour handy, just nearby. 1/3 of a cup of granulated sugar. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And then I'm just going to put a pinch of salt because I'm going to use salted butter because that's what I have. But if you were using unsalted butter, you would add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I want to just make sure all of this is whisked together. I also want to make sure that I've got my oven starting to preheat. We're going to do it at 375 Fahrenheit. So that it's nice and hot as soon as I'm ready to put these in the oven. I'm going to need 1/2 cup of butter for this recipe. And it's easier to work with when it's cold straight from the fridge. And now I want to make my butter into some smaller chunks. And then I'm just gonna throw all of these little chunks directly into the bowl. I'm just going to get in there with my hands and I'm going to bust all of this butter up amongst the flour until it gets the consistency of like sand. There's something fun, like a kid playing in a sandbox of digging around and finding the chunks of butter and just squishing them. So you can see it's starting to get more broken down and incorporated in there. Just find the chunks, bust them up. And now it's going to be time to add in our peaches. So I have my frozen peaches and I'm just gonna cut up some chunks, but I'm also gonna cut some nice little wedges to go on the very top. I want my total amount of my chunks to equal about 1/2 cup. So I'm just gonna toss them in here. You really don't need to be too particular about the amount. Like I said, I was gonna do about 1/2 cup of chunks and I am overfilling this little cup just a bit. I'm going to keep aside enough peaches that I think will cut into the little slicey things that I want to put on top. And get the peaches coated in flour. For our wet ingredients, we're going to do 1 egg, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/3 cup of sour cream. That looks pretty good to me. Just the tiniest little splash of milk. I think I probably put about maybe a tablespoon of milk in there. And then I'm gonna whisk this all together. Okay, so I've got my dry ingredients with my mixed in butter and peach, and I've got my wet ingredients. And now it's time to put it together. So I've dropped that in the middle. I'm gonna start sort of around the outside edge. You can see it starting to come together into a little bit of a dough. I'm just going to pull this all into a ball. Squish it down and try to get it into a circular shape, pushing in the sides. Any little bits of peaches that are trying to run away on me, just squish them right back in the top. And this is ready to cut into my scone shapes. Clean my knife after cutting up the peaches, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it with some flour. Cut this into 8 pieces. And be careful. I probably shouldn't be touching the blade the way I do. You can also take the knife and put the side of it sort of on your cutting board into your piles of flour. So I've got my 8 pieces here. I'm gonna put them on the baking tray. You wanna make sure that they have as much space between them as possible. We have to put our little peach wedges on. These have been sitting out, so they should be much easier to cut than the chunks were. So now I'm putting these in our 375-degree oven for half an hour, but I'm gonna set my timer for 15 minutes. When that goes off, I'm going to rotate them and then set it for another 15 minutes. Okay, so they're just absolutely perfect. They come away very easily. They're a little warm. I wouldn't recommend just touching them like that. I'm desensitized from many years of touching things that are way too hot. They are solid with just like a little bit of give. So now we're just gonna make a little glaze to go on top. We're gonna have some powdered sugar and some milk. I'm gonna do a whole cup. And then probably about a teaspoon of milk, maximum 2 teaspoons. That's kind of perfect, honestly. Give it a nice drizzle. Easy peasy powdered sugar and milk glaze. And I'll show you what they look like once this glaze has set and everything is cooled down. These are one of my new favorite quick things to pull together. You don't need a lot of ingredients. You can either wait for the glaze to get all nice and hard and crunchy, or you can serve them while it's still a little bit runny and sticky. If you like seeing me make things in my kitchen, subscribe to Dinner with Lydia and maybe check out that video over there. See you next time.